Hey, what's up, Be Better Tribe? This is your host, Julian Alvarez. This is a podcast that's centered around stories, around lessons, and around things that I've experienced that have helped me reflect back on the positives, the negatives, and wanted to make sure I use this podcast to share those. I've invited some individuals that have impacted me greatly. I've have some future interviews on the calendar that have individuals again that have impacted my life, and I think will provide lessons and conversations that can help us. You can learn from it, and hopefully you can leave the podcast with a little bit of inspiration or just ideas on how you can implement some of those that might make you a little bit happier or live a more successful life. And one of the first individuals that I wanted to bring on this podcast was my dad. And unfortunately, we're still trying to get him on the podcast. And that's okay. I think out of respect, I don't think he needs to join. And what I'm going to do today is just talk about some of the life lessons that he provided to me and why they've impacted me. And I wanted to share them with you, whether you're a father, a mother, a parent, a older sibling, a coach, a leader, or anybody that has people looking up to you. I think there's some of these key wisdom things that my dad taught me that I'd love to share because I think they're extremely valuable. And so I'm excited to do that today. Before we get into that, I did want to remind everyone that you could go and you can call or text in if you'd like to bring up any topics, if you have any questions, or if you have anything that you want to chat about, you can reach me at 831-471-7888. Once again, that number is 831-471-7888. And then also you can visit BeBetterTribe.com. You can get some gear like this sweater. There's a shirt up there. There's a journal, things of that nature. I'll try to update it and get some other stuff on there that might be more interesting to you. But reminder that any net proceeds will go to a charity of choice. Again, we're still waiting on some orders. So if you like what the content has, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with family, friends, colleagues, whoever. Want to really hopefully build this out and give back to charity. That's the whole point of this. So getting into my dad Manuel Alvarez, grew up in Santa Cruz. And I feel like I hit the lottery with my parents. Both my mom and dad instilled such great values for me. But we'll focus on my dad on this podcast, and I'm sure I'll cover my mom and maybe even bring her on. But some of the things that ring a bell for me that I'm going to kind of walk through and provide some stories about my dad and the childhood that I was able to live. And I feel like some of the success, or I actually majority of my success probably came from the values that they instilled in me. And so some of the things that my dad did, I think number one for me when I reflect back on my father and what I remember from growing up is number one is show up. I think that's often what a lot of people forget is you got to just show up in everything that you do in life. That's like really half the battle. I remember him specifically saying that is you got to show up. I really took that to heart and really committed to if you make a commitment, you got to be there. And so I'll dive into that a little bit more. The second one is be respectful and respected. So like he didn't say that much, but I just felt like the way he connected with others, and the way in which he spoke about others and the way in which he avoided a lot of things. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it just in an extremely respectful manner. And so I think that is also aligned to him having a very confident approach where he was really respected as well. And then the third and last thing that I think my dad really instilled into me and my brothers was work ethic. He worked really hard to provide for our family. And it really did show. And it was multiple different things that he did that really resonated with me. And actually, I feel like still was what was instilled in me. And so what we'll start off with is the first one that I talked about is show up. And so there's two things that I think happened or throughout my life that I remember that really resonated with show up. And the first one was just him following through. So my dad worked for PG&E for over 40 years. And when you're working for PG&E as a lineman, a lot of the times you would work overtime. And so during the winter months in Santa Cruz, whether it's stormy and rainy, the trees went down, power lines down, and you would lose power. I remember these phone calls all the time. Right after dinner, later in the evening, my dad would get a call, and it would be a call from work, and it would be like, "Do you want to do overtime?" And out of all of those phone calls, and we're talking like throughout the winter, he would get them pretty consistently, once a week, every other week. He would always put his name on the overtime list, because he really did want to provide for us and show up to his work so that he, could do a lot for us. And I always remember distinctly what he would say. He would get on the phone. He would say, "Hey, who else is on the list? All right, I'll be there in 30." Almost every time. And then he would get on his boots, he'd get his work clothes on, he'd give us, a hug, kiss goodbye, and then he would actually go and work throughout that time. The second thing that he did with me, which was amazing, is he would actually. I was trying out for an ODP soccer team. I was a bit younger. Looks like my little one's going to join us here. But I was like, I think I was like 10, and I was trying out. I was trying out for some games, some Olympic development for the NorCal State team. It's funny enough. Hey Jack, bud, you want to say hi? Okay, you can wave, and then I'm gonna have you go back inside. You can say wave. Hi. Hi. Okay, let's go back inside, bud. You could go take that inside. Go ahead, bud. All right, you can stay there. So the funny thing is, I was trying out for this team. I didn't think I was going to make it. I was one of the younger kids on the trying out for the Olympic development team. But I distinctly remember he's like, "You look at you committed. You got to show up." It was the last Sunday of the tryout. It was raining. We had to drive 45 minutes. It was already over the last 2 to 3 weekends of double days, Saturday and Sunday. Didn't get to hang out with friends, but my dad's like, "You got to show up. You never know what's going to happen. You got to show up." And I did. And luckily for me, I was able to make the state team. Some of the best memories, soccer memories. And I was on that team from, I believe it was seventh, eighth, and ninth grade. Maybe just seventh and eighth grade. I was on that team. For 2 years, I was on the state Olympic development team for Northern California. And it had to do with my dad showing up. The second thing is committing to that team. We had to go to games across the Northern California, to Portland, Oregon. We went to across all the things. The reason I share that is, as an individual that is looking up to somebody and who has a leader within their a leader anywhere, it's all about showing up for your people too. And I can't remember a time, and I've talked to my wife about this, that my dad and mom were not at my games. And thinking back now that I have two kids and one on the way, it's like, as a parent, just showing up is one of those things that you like. If you do that, man, it makes such an impact in your kid's life. And so I think I will take showing up as a core value for me, and making sure that I'm there for my boys. But that was just one thing that my dad did. He was always there at my games. He was always present, and not just for me and but for my brothers. He was always there. The second thing is be respectful. The reason. All right, go on a mission, dude. See ya. Sorry about that. And the other thing that I talked about here, another value, was be respectful and respected. So my dad is very prideful. He works hard. He has a great reputation, and he's very well respected. And he want to make sure that he talked about, like, making sure you always hold up to the Alvarez name, and you want to be respected. And so that's what I took home, and it was one of the things that you worked hard for, your respect, and you kept it. The second thing is, again, be respectful. And my dad was one of those individuals who, wherever we went in Santa Cruz, he would know somebody, or he would know a brother or a cousin or a friend. He was just great at finding connections and making connections and being really respected and respectful throughout the community. And I just love that. I think for me in my career in sales, and whatever career that you have, it's so important to give back, and ask questions and be intuitive. And so I really boiled it down to that. My father's extremely respectful, and he's well respected, and he's earned that right by being very intentional with how he talks to people. And he does a ton of layering questions and asks and tries to make a connection with everyone. And I just feel like that was such an amazing, as a child, it was so amazing to see him do that through any interaction. It could have been us at the grocery store. It could have been us at a baseball game. It could have been us really anywhere. And he's just like, oh, making connections here and there. And even now, I live over in Moraga, and we're at the local farmers market, and there's a vendor there from Santa Cruz, and he's talking to him, and he's like, oh, I know your cousins, your friends, and blah blah blah. And it's just one of those things where like making connections and being respectful is such a keen thing to do, and how to be successful. And so it was really great as an individual to not only see that from growing up, but then also see it now. I just love that. And I just read a book for my work teams. We do a book club, and it was Give and Take. And it really resonated with this value of being respectful. And it talked about how givers are individuals that are very successful, and givers are individuals that give people time and try to mentor others and give advice. And so I think this ties into that value, which is really important for me, which I got from my dad, which is great. And the third thing that I listed out earlier was work hard and have a really strong work ethic. And so that was the first story I told about him working overtime. That as one of them. The second thing is as a father, like working hard and being present. He would have us out early on Saturdays mowing the lawn. I remember when we were young, one of my earliest memories was we were painting the house, and my dad painted our whole exterior house in one weekend. And I think my older brother and I must have been like maybe 8, and my older brother was 10. And we were out there painting with him, and it probably was maybe an hour or so. But we were out there, we were working hard, we were working on his family, we were painting the whole outdoor house. And I just think him focusing on not just telling us what to do, but actually being there with us and doing that hard work. And he always was doing something and always worked his ass off. And I looking back, I respect that so much as a father. Like he worked hard. He came home. Um he instilled that work ethic. And I remember a lady walked by, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, what's your paint company? Like, I'd love to hire you. My dad's like, no, no, these are just my sons. We're just doing this, painting it for ourselves. But I thought that was one of those memories where I'm like, why didn't we pay someone else to do this? And whether we had the money or not, I think the moral of the story is like, doing and accomplishing something was really important. And I think whether he thought about instilling that message into us, or just it was naturally that happened, it really was the value of working hard. And that's what I love. That's what I loved about him, where he didn't talk about it, he was all about it. And that one, painting the house, and then raking the leaves, and mowing the lawn, and doing all our chores and housework before we were able to do anything on the weekends, I thought really instilled the work ethic. And again, him working at PG&E for over 40 years, never being sick, always going to work, always working overtime, working through the night, getting up, driving us to games, being present at all those games, and really instilling of what a man should be, and how you should provide for your family. And I think for me, as we wrap up this podcast, it is, again, I think those lessons that he instilled in me not only are for fathers, it's not just for mothers and parents, it's for any leader. It's for anyone trying to make the best of themselves or others. I think it is distilled into those three things. I think number one is you have to show up no matter what you do, what your commitment is. I know it's hard at times, but if you show up, good things can happen. And number two is be respectful, make those connections, be respected amongst your community, do the right thing, make those connections, go deep in conversation. I thought he was amazing at that. And the last thing is work hard. No one can challenge your work ethic. The harder you work, the more lucky you get. And I think those three things, among 1,000 other things that my father did for me, I think that is what I can recall as being so inspirational for me. And so, again, I feel like a lot of people say this, but I do mean it when I say it. I hit the lottery with my parents. I hit the lottery with my dad. He was such an amazing person. And one of the things that I said during one of I did a speech for him. I forget when it was, but one of the things as a father, I think the greatest compliment you can do is want to try to be the man that your father was for you, for your kids. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I want to aspire to be, because again, he was present. He showed up. He showed me what hard work was. He showed me what dedication was. He showed me how to be respectful, how to be respected. And at the end of the day, he showed me how to um, be a good father. And that's the best thing that I could have wished for. And I hope you took away something from here. I hope you were able to catch a bit of that, the Manuel's magic. I will leave it at that. I didn't really have a better slogan, but show up, be respectful, work hard, and have fun with it. And so to my dad, maybe I'll get him on here, maybe I won't. But at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that I provided those life lessons that he provided to me. So thanks so much for joining. Again, if you can like, comment, and subscribe, that would be fantastic. Visit the website, BeBetterTribe.com, buy some gear. And any feedback, any thoughts, hit me up, 831-471-7888. So we'll leave you with this. Wake up smiling, have fun, and always be better. Thank you. Take care.